Reddit, what is your saddest unrequited love story? I will start. For context purposes, I'm a girl. Oh, and this is a throwaway because lots of people I know will know me on Reddit. Anyway, I met my, at the time, best friend in 6th grade. Over time, we became really close. At one point, a couple years after we met, I realized that I was pretty much in love with her. It had come to the point that I couldn't force myself to ignore that I was attracted to her anymore, yet she had shown clearly that she was straight. Despite how much I liked her, I didn't want to ruin our friendship by confessing to her. A couple more years, and I still hadn't gotten over her. I decided that I needed to get it off my chest by telling 2 other good friends, and resolved myself to tell her too. She didn't have a boyfriend, so I thought I might have a tiny chance. Of course, the night before I was about to confess this shit, she sends a message that OMG likes me and we're going steady, and of course, my resolve shattered, and I decided that I could continue being just friends with her, and it would all be fine, or at least are better than nothing. A week later, one of my friends told her everything. Everything. And she exaggerated a ton of stuff to make me seem even creepier than I was. And she stopped speaking to me, and wouldn't even look at me. And I still can't help but like the bitch. So yeah. Tell me terrible unrequited love stories so I don't feel so alone. Well, never really liked telling anyone this story, but here it goes. In 8th grade, I wasn't well liked. My belongings were ripped up, books and all, and the entire class wrote a petition saying they did not want to graduate with me. They didn't want me at the ceremony, they didn't want me in the pictures, they just didn't want anything to do with me. The entire class, except one. This girl, Erin, was the only one out of 38 students to not sign it, and when I sat alone during recess, she was the only one to attempt to talk to me. I didn't feel like talking to anyone, let alone attempting to talk to a girl. I had no idea how to do that. She tried either way. Anyway, we prepared for the co-op, a test to get into Catholic high school, and we play footsies under the desk during tutoring after school. We talk about how cool high school would be, and she watched all the sad drawings I'd make of a boy walking home alone in the dark to 2 kids playing patty cake in a park. It was the most puppy love situation I knew. The thing was, I never made a move. I never wanted to do anything alone with her, because I was scared. I was, for lack of a better term, a bitch. She had signal flares everywhere, and I pretty much friend-zoned the hell out of it. High school started, and elementary school kids grew up. Erin and I lost track until I came home to a tear-ridden mother. She informed me that Erin passed away, and that the wake was in a few days. It didn't hit me at first. I tried to gather my thoughts, as this was the first death to actually devastate me. I thought back to how hard it would have been if she was never there, how that slimmer of hope of spending another day together was gone, how those drawings of happiness could never happen. How if I swing a foot under a desk, it won't tap anyone. How I miss making someone around me smile. The wake was what the 1-2 punch that hit me the hardest. It was as if everyone needed to spray me with knowledge on how much she loved me, and how nice she was to me. It was the most painful experience of my life. It drove me insane that the nicest person in my life was the first person to leave me on this earth, and everyone else needed to constantly remind me of it. If I can just send one message out to people out there, that if your story with the person you love still has a chance, take it. Tell them how you feel and how much brighter your day is with them in your life. Tell them how nice their smile is, and how their hug warms your heart. Don't go through what I do, and have to think every day about the one who will always, no matter how much I change myself, have gotten away. I loved this girl for years, helped her go to a new school and stuff, even put up with her bitchy sister. Then she starts ditching me for more popular prats, right, and she tries to help me when I'm getting publicly humiliated by one of them, but I snap and call her an offensive name. Then she ended up ignoring me and going out with the prat who was humiliating me in the first place. They get married, have a kid, and then Voldemort kills them, even though I told him not to. Sucks, man. Throwaway time. So, several years ago, I met this girl in college. We ended up sitting next to each other in a jazz appreciation class. She was outgoing and flirty, and extremely hot. Not in an Anne Hathaway Natalie Portman porcelain doll kind of way, but a Kirsten Dunst I could actually see myself with this girl realistically kind of way. She was funny, intelligent, and had the sweetest personality. I quickly developed a crush of pretty heavy-duty proportions. We grew very close as friends, closer than that dreaded friendzone. We talked about anything and everything, a level of emotional intimacy that scared and intrigued me. She knew all of my secrets, and I knew all of hers. We even helped each other through some pretty horrific times, me going to jail for doing something stupid, and her getting extremely sick and being in the hospital for several days. I was introduced to her family, and she to mine. But we never seemed to be single at the same time. When we met, she was dating someone, and I was single. After several months, the loneliness made me start seeking companionship, and I met another girl. Not as hot, not as intelligent, but a demon in the sack and older than me by several years. A bit of the owl Mrs. Robinson was more than enough to stick the love blinders on, so when my first crush suddenly and quite violently became single, her ex beat on her, unbeknownst to me, but got caught, I was too enraptured to pursue what would have been a better choice. I stayed with the sure thing, only to find out 2 years later the sure thing was cheating on me. I ran to my crush, seeking the comfort that only a close and dear friend could give. We ended up in bed together, and though it was over 5 years ago, I still have extremely vivid memories of what we did. To say she was amazing is an understatement, and to say we were amazing together is nothing short of laughably inadequate. To put it bluntly, we broke the bed and hotel management contacted us twice about the noise. And yet, once things settled down at home for me, things got bad for her. Family issues. She needed to move to help her mom and siblings deal with an alcoholic and abusive father who was being divorced and evicted. It wouldn't be permanent, she said. Just for a little while. I shouldn't have opened my heart to her. That move was the death knell for any future plans because, almost inevitably, she met someone. Like it was the script of a bad movie. The guy she met is a good guy, I have to admit. I like him. He's good to her, he's intelligent, perhaps more so than me, and that's saying something, shares a lot of interests with her, and most importantly makes her feel respected and happy. I recently went to their wedding. I'm with a truly wonderful woman now, whom I love to death and fully want to marry because she's the person I want to spend my life with. But there was a twinge, watching those two say their vows. A twinge of jealousy and anger, a twinge of fuck, that could have been me. That could be me making her that happy. If I'd had about another 5 weeks of being single, between her ex breaking up with her and my ex and I beginning to date, we'd probably be married right now. Chance is the ficklest mistress I've ever met. I'm a girl, and I have been in love with my best guy friend for about 5 years. Everybody in our very small hometown has thought we were together since high school, and we're going to one day get married, including me. We went on dates and took trips together, and because we were both raised in fairly conservative religious households, the non-existence of sex in our relationship didn't faze me at all. And then I found out 3 days ago that he is not heterosexual. Well, I'm honored that I was the first person he came out to. I'm still kind of reeling that I've loved him for so long, and there was never a chance. Now I have to figure out how to stop loving him and just love him. I'm a girl, and I have been in love with my best guy friend for about 5 years. Everybody in our very small hometown has thought we were together since high school, and we're going to one day get married, including me. We went on dates and took trips together, and because we were both raised in fairly conservative religious households, the non-existence of sex in our relationship didn't faze me at all. And then I found out 3 days ago that he is not heterosexual. Well, I'm honored that I was the first person he came out to. I'm still kind of reeling that I've loved him for so long, and there was never a chance. Now I have to figure out how to stop loving him and just love him. It was my first boyfriend. We met, I was a senior in high school, he was a junior. We met at a party and dated for close to 2 years. Long distance was what tore us apart, but we were so madly in love. I have never and will never find someone I connect with on such a deep level. I still loved him, and when I was 21, I joined the Air Force, and knew I had to tell him I still loved him. So, I messaged him and asked him to meet up with me. He agreed. We hadn't talked in almost 2 years. I told him I loved him and he smiled. I can't remember what he said in return. We hung out all day, and at the end of the night we kissed and wound up having sex. Right after sex he looks at me and says, "I don't mean to be a dick, but I've got to head home. The thing is, I got over you. It wasn't easy, but it eventually happened." Fuck, did that hurt. Despite myself, I still love him. I'm 23 now. Have had 2 boyfriends since then, neither successful. I was in love with a chef when I was an assistant manager of a hotel restaurant. He was Mexican and had come to the States to get away from his oppressive father, who was an officer in the Mexican military. He was gorgeous, ripped body, great smile. We loved working out together, which is how our friendship started. He was also brilliant. He spoke English, Spanish, and French. He loved reading, especially poetry. Poems by Pablo Neruda, Garcia Lorca, Octavio Paz. We hung out all the time. We had coffee, dinners, discussions. I stayed with him overnight. We began sleeping in the same bed. I fell completely in love with him. He was my muse. I drew, wrote poetry and songs. Our relationship progressed to petting, then to making out. It became too much for him. He broke down. He told me he never wanted to see me again. He said I caused him to feel horrible about himself. I just wanted to hold him and love him. I can't say his name here, but I repeated it to myself over and over. I was heartbroken when I learned he started having sex with a girl he had just been friends with while we were buddies. He made sure that I found out, and that everyone at work knew he was dating a girl. I would never have outed him or said a word. People had been suspicious though. I was so distraught by the whole situation, I quit my job and moved to the opposite side of the country within the matter of a few weeks. I was young and inexperienced. I have not felt love like that since, if you can call that love. I still whisper his name to myself sometimes, and I wonder if he ever thinks of me. If you are reading this, I remember. Encuentro tú en estamos en disposición de non-trans. Tu por lo que sabes. La he corrido tanto. Sigue sederdita. En las manos tengo los agujeros de los clavos. No ves como mi story desengrando. No mires nons arts. Vido despair y risa como San Caetano, que en tú en estamos en disposición de contrarios. I'm actually in the midst of my sad unrequited love story now. 2 years back I met this group of guy friends who all became my good friends. One of them in particular, let's call him K. I don't remember much about him at first. He did not talk much and was incredibly quiet, and to be honest, I thought him a bit snobby. He lived near me and was free like practically all the time, so we ended up spending a lot of time together. We hung out smoking, or he would teach me guitar or have dinner or play Left 4 Dead. Maybe there was a bit of naivety on my part that I could spend so much time with K and not be affected. I felt very hard for him. Yet I was pretty certain that it was one-sided, because most of the time it was me who asked him to hang out. I have never been in a relationship before, neither has he, so I wasn't sure what to do with my crush. One day, he asked me to watch a play with him. I was elated. We always hang out near his apartment and all, but this felt like it would be the first official time he has asked me out for a date. Well, that day I waited and waited for him, and he never showed up. He called me back 2 hours later, incredibly sorry about it. He worked a straight 48 hours without sleeping, and when he came home, he only meant to rest for a few hours before meeting me, but he fell asleep. Okay. I understand and I forgave him. I waited for him to ask me out again. Never happened. There were other incidents too, and I was devastated by his indifference. I didn't dare tell him how I feel, and I was crying almost every night over him. I finally spoke to a good friend of mine, who also happened to be K's best friend. In his opinion, K don't have any feelings for me. If he did, the friend said, K would have brought it up ages ago to his best friends, and he would have done something about it. Just to seal my coffin, the friend told me that he would ask K about how he felt towards me, since I was still a wimp and didn't want to spoil our friendship. He reported back a week later to explain that K said he doesn't have feelings for me. And that's my sad story. It has always been easy for me to get over guys, but K is not easy. I've spent the better part of 2 years friend-zoned hard. Recently, I've made the decision to cut K out of my life because I was tired of feeling miserable about him. And I've always had the lingering feeling that I value this friendship more than he did. I hope I have the strength to not call him or seek his company the instant I feel I need company. I was a virgin until I was 18 and graduated high school. I am not bad looking or socially inept, I just chose to wait. I am also not religious in any way. Anyhow, prom came up and I was dating someone, so we were planning to go together. 2 weeks later, after dropping a ton of dollar on tickets, and a tux, and a corsage, she dumps me. We decide to go anyway as friends. Well, there, in an odd turn of events, my friend who originally asked my ex-girlfriend before me but was rejected for me, brought a girl another friend set him up with. I'm not a corny guy, but when I saw her, I couldn't describe it as anything but love at first sight. Over the next few weeks, after apologizing a shit ton and talking it over with my friend, I began to take her on dates. Things were going incredibly, and by the middle of summer we had sex for the first time. We had the most amazing summer I've ever had in my life, partying in friends' houses, sleeping under the stars, going to the beach, doing normal teenager stuff. I'm so thankful I got way more than I deserved. We dated for a year and I was getting ready to leave for college. She had her prom coming up, and everything was on shaky ground. She was afraid I was going to dump her to have fun in college sleeping around. After plenty of fighting, she gave me the benefit of the doubt, and we decided to try to work it out. Thing is, when her prom finally came up, I decided to be a macho man about it, and told her I didn't want to go to her prom because it was immature. We fought a ton about it, and we settled on her going with her friend. I can't believe how naive I was. We didn't talk for 2 weeks, and then she showed up to a get-together with our friends with her friend she went to prom with. She was dating him and wouldn't speak to me. I went away to college, and did my thing going from one girl to another, and doing whatever single 20-somethings do. I tried for years to get her to take me back, but for one reason or other things never worked out. 2 weeks from now I leave for England for 4 months, and then I come back to graduate college, and then plan to move across the country. We've made plans to hang out later this week, probably for the last time in quite a while. Tell her appreciate what you have while you have it. Life isn't like the movies, you can't always win back the one that got away. And whatever.